We'll catch him next time.
Acolytes are pretty awesome.
Yeah, 100%. We got lucky enough to see him in Nashville.
Cool.
Maybe it was either shortly before the COVID shutdown or right after. They were on tour with the fucking All Stars, the Sublime.
The Long Beach Dub All
Long
Stars.
Beach Dub All Stars. Yeah, that was a sick show.
That's members of Sublime, right?
Started out like that, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, a couple of guys from Sublime.
Gotcha. So, hey, Eric,
what's up, dude?
What's going on today?
Man, just another beautiful day up here in Western New York. Had a little rain, cooled everything down, but yeah, we're rolling into the weekend, right? No snow yet, but it's right around the corner. But yeah, today on the episode, we are going to welcome Andy from Sell the Heart Records. So, Andy, thanks for joining Russ and I tonight on the You Want It, You Got It podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah. For sure, man. Thanks for being a cool dude. I chat with you here and there through message and whatnot, and you got this new compilation coming out on your label, and I was like, well, let's get some of the bands on there we've done so far, and I said, might as well get you too. So now we have you on here.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Also, I found out today as well that I've gotten everybody that's going to be in the Seaweed cover band minus Jeff Dean from Her Head's on Fire. So he's the only person I have not had. So I need to get him on here before Fest, and then I could have all you guys on,
Right. Well, did you get Craig from Next Scars on there?
We had all of Next Scars on here actually.
Okay.
About a month ago. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
So, there was some good dudes. And
they're good. They're good guys.
I think when I was on the podcast with them is when I ordered the vinyl for the pre-order on that album.
Very cool. Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, those are great guys. And Matt, hell, I talked to them. I had Joseph on last week we had Joseph on, and then I'm going to be talking with Jukebox Romantics next week or two. So basically, I'm just running down your label, I'm just going to go down who's been on a compilation or whatnot. But dudes from Jukebox Romantics, they actually messaged me, and who's the singer of that band?
Mike Terry.
Okay, yeah, he's a hoot. I've seen his videos, and I already know that it's going to be a good podcast with that guy. He said, "Yeah, man, let me get on podcast. I like to talk about wrestling, music, and old toys, whatever." I was like, "You're speaking our language." So
yeah. That is true.
So I see, Andy, your label just hit 15 years of being a label.
That is true. No lie.
Yeah. What made you 15 years ago want to say, hey, let's put out some records, let's put out some music?
Masochism, just kind of general masochism, but no, in all seriousness, so basically it started out of a group of friends of mine and I who we were all kind of involved in the local music scene in the Sonoma County, Santa Rosa area. And I was in a band, a couple of the other guys were in other bands, and it just occurred to us that there wasn't really any local labels, that were really doing anything at the moment. There had been labels in the area, over the last, 15 years or so that, we had all been involved in the music scene, but, most of them had kind of withered out and finished up, their operations, or were just, focused on other types of music that didn't involve the greater punk rock or indie rock, scene at that moment. So we thought it might be cool to start our own label and, start documenting the local scene. And we put our heads together, came up with a bunch of different ideas, different ways to approach it. The main thing that we tried to emphasize, at least initially, because it was kind of a new thing, at that time was the idea of crowdfunding, because, you know, things like Kickstarter and, you know, Indiegogo and GoFundMe at that point was still not necessarily like a default insurance provider. God, our country sucks, but
right.
but you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
you know, basically the idea of crowdfunding being what it was, and us feeling like, you know, this is really like we all kind of agreed that we thought that it was a relatively great idea, you know, to kind of utilize that. And because not only you get to really get a finger on the pulse of how many people are even interested in buying a record from you, you know, but it allows you to kind of go into it with a like, well, you know, if we can raise the money to do it, then we'll do it. But if we can't raise the money and we can't afford it, then why should we do it? Kind of approach.
Yeah.
You know? And it, you know, I remember at the time, you know, because we basically launched our first. Well, no, let me back up. The first release we did was a CD, and that one we did just without any kind of fundraising, because CDs were still kind of relatively inexpensive at that point. But the first vinyl record that we did, you know, we did this campaign to kind of raise funds for it. And I remember, you know, some people kind of were like, that's weird. Like, why are you asking people for money? Why don't you just do it? And we're like, well, we don't know if we're going to sell enough to really make it worth it. So why not? You know, and they still kind of thought that it was almost like begging, you know?
Yeah.
And I just thought that was nonsense, to be perfectly honest with you. I just think you're just kind of hedging your bets. That's the way I view it. You know, I don't like, none of us were begging for money. We were just saying, hey, we're putting out this record. If you like this band and you want a record, basically you're just pre-ordering it. That's all you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like to us, it was very cut and dry. You know, we weren't begging you to help us make this record a thing. But that all aside, that was kind of part of our initial plan. And so we tried that. It didn't work as well as we had hoped.
Okay.
But we went ahead and released the record anyway. And then from there, we took it as more of like, if we're going to do it, we may as well just do it. You know, so let the chips fall where they may. You know, we're basically going into it like we go gambling. You know, like we're only going to put in as much money as we're willing to lose off of this, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much been my entire approach. You know, with every record that I do, it's you know, when I work with a band, I'm very honest with them. I'm very upfront about, you know, hey, like you know, it's literally just a one-person operation. You know, I do have people that I partner up with, and you know, I'm very grateful that, you know, every once in a while I'll have a label from like, you know, Europe or the UK or Canada or Japan who can take on a bit of that financial burden to, you know, put these records out and, you know, help cover certain costs like promotion and PR and advertising, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm very upfront with bands and say, hey, listen, like, you know, there's a very fixed number that I can work with here in terms of what I can really invest in your band. You know, and if you're good with that, then we can proceed. But if that's something that you're looking for more, or you're, you know, not sure if that's going to cover what you want, then by all means, you know, find another partner. Like, it's no skin off my back, you know, no harm, no foul. But for the most part, it's worked out really good.
Yeah, I noticed there's a lot of labels like that are one-man operations, or if they have a wife or a girlfriend or something that help out. I know, like I think, you know, Punkerton, they're new and they have, you know, I think they're a one-man operation. And Thousand Island Records, I think they're a husband and wife. I think they do, you know. And then you know, then you got and then I got introduced to High Denim Radio from the Trash Ambulance dude, and he's a one-man operation too, you know. But and like you're saying, you know, hopefully, you know, partner with another label like in Europe or whatever, and that's what they do as well. It's pretty cool. And as far as the artists that you pick on there, you pick bands that you see that are working hard, or somebody that it's something that you want to have, or you feel like people need to hear it, or what? How do you pick your bands?
Well, you know, it's a combination of a lot of different things.
Yeah.
You know, in the grand scheme of things, you know, a lot of it boils down to whether or not I like the music and if I like the people, you know. So
sure.
if a band comes up to me and, you know, sends me their demo and, you know, gives me their spiel and say, hey, you know, like, we're looking to work with the label, and, here's what we've done, here's what we're looking to do, and here's our music. We like what you're doing. Pretty basic, approach that most bands take. I'll gladly listen to it and give it, the benefit of the doubt kind of thing, and say, yeah, like I'm going to go into this with fresh ears. Maybe I've never heard this band before, and see if I like it and if it strikes me. And if it does strike me as something that I feel that I could get behind, and honestly put my, like, hey, I like this, maybe you will, then, that's half the battle right there. The second half is, I get a chance to talk to these people. A lot of times, it's people who I don't know personally, or at best it's like a word of mouth where, maybe, they're, friends of a band that I currently work with. And so, they reach out to me and they say, hey, we're friends with such and such, and they recommended we talk to you, and et cetera. And, that goes a certain amount of distance. It doesn't really go a long way, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think it goes as far as people think it would. But, like, for instance, if friends of Mike Terry, who I've known now for years, were to come to me and say, yeah, Mike's like a good buddy of ours, and, he thought that we'd be a great, band for your label, then, I would be, okay, well, I trust Mike, so I'll give it a listen, like, no question. I mean, I'm going to listen to it anyway, but, knowing that Mike thinks that it's good is going to probably up the level of interest, at least a little bit. For sure. And then, I listen to it. I look at what they do. I mean, I do typically look at the band's social media, output, and what they've been able to accomplish in terms of getting like a followership. And, I look at Spotify numbers and like all those things. And it's a crappy thing that we have those, data points to kind of go off of. And in that, it's really easy to manipulate that stuff. So I don't ever really try to use that as a firm, oh gosh, like if you don't have like a few thousand followers, and you've been a band for, 10 years or so, then I feel like that's not good. I don't usually qualify things in that manner.
Yeah.
However, if I see that you're a band that has been a band for 10 years and you have like, 200 followers, and, you post once every month, to me, that's a red flag, because to me, that means that you really haven't done a lot to really push yourself, and so what that tells me is that you're coming to me to basically do that for you.
It's
I've been around the block enough to know that, I know that that's like an easy thing to kind of cast on people, but that's how it is. I'm telling you,
the way I look at it too is like, if you look at their page and like you said, they post once a month or once every 2 months, it's like, you're not really pushing yourself, or you're not putting any work yourself. So, why have you put the work in for them? It got to be like a 50-50 at least, or 75-25 or something,
Right. And what sucks about it too is that, using like, I use that as an example, right?
Yeah.
And that's strictly one example. But, using that same example, if you look at a band like, I don't know, Ceremony, right? Do you know the band Ceremony?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So, they're a pretty well-known band, like they've played major festivals, they've toured a lot, they have a very good name for themselves as a band, and rightfully so. Like they've earned it. And they're not all over social media, but they kind of have the ability to not be, you know what I mean? Because they've already kind of earned that ability to not have to leverage those tools. Like they worked their ass off playing tons of shows, and building a huge following, and, so using that as an example, I can't necessarily hold that against people, but it is something that I have to keep in mind, Yeah.
Also too, I mean, and I'm sure too, not every single band is on, that messes with Instagram or messes with Facebook or Twitter or blah, 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 but no, I mean, I see what you're saying though.
Well, and some bands are brand new, too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's really the distinction of like, you know, if you're a brand new band and you only have like a couple hundred followers and you've only posted like 4 or 5 times, of course I'm not going to hold that against you. Like you're a brand new band,
Correct.
you know. But if you're a band that's been around for 10 years and you have this very lackadaisical approach to utilizing what is, I hate to say it, like a really awesome tool to use, like social media, for all of its, you know, negatives and its, you know, problems that comes with it, for promotion, if you learn how to leverage it, it's pretty incredible. And you really should be, if you are wanting to be a serious musician that is really trying to use every tool in the toolbox. And I'd be hard pressed to say that any musician out there isn't using it somehow, some way to their advantage.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you think about, you know, like the bands that, you know, we may have grown up listening to, you know, it's like we always went to MTV and it's like hoping that their video was going to show. With social media, bands can put out, you know, a story video, you know, it's like there's so much that social media can do for bands. I mean, especially, you know, tracing all the way back to MySpace when bands could put their songs on the page. And yeah, I mean, it was fucking huge, man. You just use it. Don't be lazy.
Yeah. And I mean, like this topic's been like discussed ad nauseum, you know, all of this stuff is stuff that's already been said, you know. At this point, I do feel like if a band were to choose to not engage with social media, cool, like that's fine. I hope you're playing a lot of shows though, you know, because if you're not doing that, then chances are there's no good reason for me to connect with you, you know, as a label and work with you, because how are you connecting with anyone? Like, you know, if you're not doing anything, then your album's not going to sell, you know, unless you magically just happen to be like a super gifted songwriter who writes extremely good, catchy bops that people are going to hear once and be like, holy shit, what is this? You know?
Yeah.
But
For
that's
sure.
so rare, you know, that it's
right. Yeah.
not going to happen. Yeah.
You're relying on a mailing list and sending out, you know, Kinko's postcards that you did for up on a page. And
it's not people don't engage with the world the way that we used to, you know, and
for sure,
like it or not, that's just the way it is. So you know, I know what works for me, and so I at very least expect that bands that I work with will, to at least a certain degree, be utilizing these types of tools, because if I'm the only one doing it, I there's no point in me working with you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No.
So with your label as well, do you do just strictly the music part, or do you other parts? I mean, do you screen print as well for the company, or do you do that outsourced?
So I have helped bands create merch before, but not myself. Like I don't have like a screen printing process.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Anything like that. I mean, if I had the space for it, I might. You know, I recently moved into a home, and I do have some space. Like I do have a garage, but realistically, I would probably only have room for, you know, literally one, you know, screen. And to be perfectly honest with you, I just don't want to do that. So I would much rather pay somebody who I know is making a living off of this and give them the money and say, here, I'm going to help you out by helping the bands out. And then, you know, we'll get a good quality product out of the process. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
So I've looked through your catalog the past couple of days, and I've noticed that I see neck scars and I see middle-aged queers on there often. Have you done all those bands releases, or just a good amount of them?
So not all of their releases, but I've done a good amount. So with middle-aged queers, I've helped them release 3 full-length records, and for neck scars, we've now done 2 full-length records, and then we did a split with the band Moonraker. And then we did a 4-band split 7-inch with Tired Radio, American Thrills, and Nightmares for a Week.
I mean, and the only next thing to do was to do a 7-way split.
Well, yeah. The 7-band split just came out of me feeling like, 7 inches are cool and they have their place, but 7 inches for record labels and, somebody trying to, help a band out fiscally just doesn't make a lot of sense. Right. Because the cost to make them isn't a whole lot less than pressing a 12-inch.
Right? Oh, okay. Huh.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on the circumstances, like the packaging and, who you press with and the quantities that you're pressing. Those things come into play, of course, but like the bottom line, 7 inches still technically are cheaper, but you can't sell them for more than a certain price point. Right.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And it's not even so much about the money. To me, it's more about the ability to kind of add more value to it. Right. So for example, a 7-inch historically would only have 2 songs on it, right? Like a 45 would have 2 songs on it, one on side A, one on side B. And a lot of times those were used for jukeboxes or for radio, right? Well, then you fast forward to like, the 70s and all these punk bands were putting like whole albums on 7 inches at like 33, like Minor Threat and like all these bands, right? Which is great. And that's awesome because they're like minute songs. And you can put like 4 or 5 minutes on one side and then blast through a bunch of minute-long hardcore songs, which is cool. And then it's cheaper to make them. And then you press 1,000 of them. You're basically paying, probably back in the 80s, it was like, 75 cents a record, and then you sell them for $5. And so you're making a killing, back then. And people bought records because people had record players, back then. And that's what you listened to. But, and 7 inches are they like to their credit, like they travel better because they're compact. They don't bend as easy, like, because it's less surface area, that kind of thing. So you can put a bunch of them in like a suitcase. So there are benefits to doing 7 inches in regard to that, but really that's more beneficial to the bands and less to the label because, I have to sell it for a profit, to be able to get the return on my investment. But then there's shipping. And so by the time that you're buying it from me, you may as well just buy a 12-inch record instead. And you're getting way more music for basically only about $7 more at the end of the day. So really what I felt would be a cool way to do a split would be, okay, I'm going to have more bands, but I'm going to have them all on one side of a 12-inch. And then we're going to do this custom etching on the other side and kind of add something kind of nice to it, something kind of cool. And so we did that. And we thought it was kind of a cool spin on it. And I mean, I like all these bands and they all had an exclusive track to offer to it. And I thought that would add some extra value to it and hopefully entice people to want to get it. And we're literally only pressing 100 copies of it. So,
wow.
If you really, if you really want these songs and you want them on vinyl, you can be one of 100 people to have it. So it's a bit of a collector's item,
for sure.
Like I know that we're not like some boutique label, like, I don't know, Sub Pop who like if Sub Pop were to release something with only like 100 copies on it, like people it would sell out instantly,
Right. Yeah. People would be camping out on record store day to, like weeks in advance.
You know what I mean? Like, we know that this isn't like some crazy hot button item that people are going to have. But for people that follow these bands, like there's 7 bands. My hope is that at least, 10 or 15 people that follow each band will want a copy and that they will be fortunate to have it. And then they'll be able to have this cool, like kind of keepsake.
That's cool. So is that going to be for like online ordering only, or is there going to be like local record shops in your town that would carry the product as well?
There may be a few stores that might take a couple in. The challenge with that is because we only have 100 copies that we're pressing. The margins are pretty low in terms of what we potentially can make from it. And
Gotcha.
you know, at the end of the day, like, you know, when I started the record label, my intention was always to have a model that functioned on the idea that, you know, the sales from product A would fund product B, and then so on and so forth. Like, profit was not something that I necessarily even was shooting for, you know. I just wanted it to be a self-sustaining endeavor that inevitably would pay for itself, you know. And I know that some records are going to sell better than others. That's just the nature of the way these things go. And not every band is going to pop off, you know. Like, I've had records that have sold through super fast, and I've had records that have taken years to sell through. I have some records that I've literally had since the beginning. No. And I haven't sold them through. You know, I mean, I'm thankfully down to like my last few copies, but you know, a lot of those I had to sell for basically cost, if not cheaper, or I gave them away as like a promo deal with like a special like buy one get one free kind of thing. You know,
yeah, I saw some of your specials you've been running lately. You know, and then you got the one section where it's like, you know, low stock, and you got all those in there. Now I saw that, you know, one of your first tribute albums that you did was the Fugazi one. Is that correct?
Yeah, the first tribute record that I had a hand in was the Fugazi one. Mm-hmm.
Man, and obviously they're a great band, but what made you start off with that one?
Well, they're like, they're probably my favorite band of all time. You know, I mean, it's to me, I always kind of have this battle between them and Smashing Pumpkins and even like Deftones. Like probably those three bands like are always kind of competing in my brain.
All great bands.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I love all three of those bands. Like, you know,
they're
like they each one of them, I would say, has a pretty damn good track record of putting out really, really good records. You know, like they haven't all been perfect, you know, by any means, but they pretty damn good. And so, and not to mention like Fugazi at that time, I just thought, man, like what a like perfect example of the whole DIY ethic. Like they were always out at the forefront of being like the kind of beacon of DIY ethics and like punk rock ethics and keeping things, you know, within your limitations but also breaking, you know, boundaries like all the time, you know. So I've just always loved them, and I thought about doing it for a long time. I held back from doing it because I was nervous that I wouldn't do them justice, you know, like that the music would fall short somehow, right? Or that like the record would not do what I wanted it to do. But then I asked some bands that I thought might be good bands to include what they thought of it, and they're like, dude, you should totally do that, and can we be on it? And I'm like,
nice.
Sure. So yeah, no, like the sheer like enthusiasm from all these bands was like, oh, okay, like I guess I didn't realize like how awesome people thought that this would be, right? And so I gathered a bunch of bands, and it got to the point where I had so many bands that wanted to do it that I was almost going to make it a double LP, but that was going to be like really expensive to do, because it's pretty crazy what the jump in price is from a single LP to a double LP, depending on how you package it. But it's substantially more expensive to do it that way, because you have to pay for extra lacquers and stampers, and then like depending on if you do like a gatefold, you know, versus like a wider pouch or something like that. Plus all the material costs and all that stuff. But nonetheless, we broke it up. We had 13 songs. If you see what I did there, on the LP, and then the rest ended up being digital only. So you can get all of the songs if you buy the record, but there's 13 on the LP itself. And when we did it, I knew that I wanted it to be like some sort of a vehicle for like raising money for something, because, you know, Fugazi historically always did all this awesome work for nonprofits and like around the country. And I dare say around the world, so I was like, I'm only going to do this if we can do it in a way where we can give some money to a good cause. And so we found a local charity here in the Bay Area that was called Taking It to the Streets. And we partnered with them on it basically. And we were able to get them a few $1,000s.
Wow.
Yeah. Cause we sold through enough to kind of help pay it all off. And then we gave them, the residual after that. And then, yeah, I mean, since they unfortunately did have to close their doors about a year after the project launched. So, unfortunately, yeah, they didn't last as long as we would hope that they would. But since then, we had been donating money to another local charity called Punks with Lunch, which is a pretty big organization. Like they have little setups all over the country, but they have one here in Oakland specifically that we've donated to.
Nice, nice. That's awesome.
It says for that compilation there, you guys raised $2,200 about.
Well, it's been more than that since, but we were able to give
from that album.
We were able to give about $2,200 to Taking It to the Streets.
Wow,
alone.
Cool.
And then since then, I want to say we've probably donated like upwards of like $700.
Wow.
Because we covered we had to cover our costs
too. For sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But we pressed 500 records, so it was I mean, it wasn't cheap to make, unfortunately, vinyl is expensive, but we were able to cover our costs and then donate proceeds. So, and we're like, I'm almost out. I have fewer than 10 copies left.
Oh, sure.
Oh, that's rad. Yeah.
So we're almost out of them.
Yeah.
Everybody Wants Somewhere, a tribute to Fugazi, volumes 1 and 2. Yep.
Yeah.
And then you did a Rancid one. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I jammed that whole one the other day, and there's some good covers on that album. There's some. They're done pretty well. I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, that's a really cool record. So my friend Alex Botkin, he runs Lava Socks Records, and they had put out a Green Day cover album, like tribute album,
nice.
A few years prior, and he asked me if I would want to be involved in doing this Rancid one. And I immediately was like, yes, let's do it 100%. And, especially once he told me like some of the bands that were involved, like Link 80 are like old buddies of mine. Like they're old friends of mine. So like, I was like, oh dude, like Link 80 is going to do it. Oh yeah, we're doing it, So, nice. And it's the last song that they recorded. Like they got back together just to record that song.
Oh wow.
That's badass.
Which is really cool, right?
Yeah.
Because they were done. Like they were like, yeah, we're putting this band to bed, like because they did the one reunion show, in San Francisco, a few years prior to that. But since then, like they've basically just kind of said, yeah, Link 80 is over. So for them to have come back and done that just for this record was like pretty cool, and for me to have a hand in that was cool. But not only that, like Hammer Bombs are great, Warriors is great, Flying Raccoon Suit's great, Matamoska, like all the bands that contributed did a great job. And just the fact that it's like the entire And Out Come the Wolves record from start to finish, completely redone, and all different types of styles. I mean that record is damn near perfect. I mean, it's one of the greatest punk rock records of all time.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's so catchy and like so many good sing-alongs, and yeah, it's a great record.
The anniversary was that the anniversary just recently on that?
I think so. Yeah.
30 years.
Yeah.
30
years.
Right. Wow.
Yep. Yeah. How wild is that?
Well, what I was about to say, what's even wilder is that they released Let's Go and Out Comes a Wolf like literally 15 months from each other. It's like as soon as they dropped Let's Go, they went to start they went on tour and started recording and Out Comes a Wolf. And then you got two great albums. Both those albums are fucking amazing.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Russ,
go ahead. Russ, did you go to that Out Come the Wolf show in Nashville at 328?
The only time I've seen Rancid, the only time I've ever seen Rancid, or the times I've seen him was at the Warped Tour, and I was supposed to see them on last year with the Green Day Smashing Pumpkins Rancid and the Linda Lindas, but it was at the soccer stadium. Never been there before, and I walked in as Rancid was walking off the stage.
Bummer.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to see that one at 328. It was Rancid, Rocket from the Crypt, and a little unknown band called Jack Kevorkian and the Suicide Machines.
Nice.
And that was fucking up. Yeah. I still have my ticket stub for that one for sure.
That's a really good. That's an unbeatable lineup right there.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%.
Yeah, geez. But yeah, like I mean, Tim Armstrong, you know, I know that there are certain things that have been said about him that have kept people kind of up in arms, but you know, he writes catchy songs. There's no question.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So when you do something like that, a cover album, does it ever hit the band's radar?
Oh, I mean, yeah. So you know, for example, you know, with the Fugazi one, like I straight up like emailed, you know, Discord Records, and I was like, hey, like I want to do this, and is it okay? And like they're you know, and they've my understanding was that, you know, Fugazi and Ian and them weren't necessarily like all that into the idea of like these, you know, kind of, I think for lack of a better word, like nostalgia grab kind of things, you know. It wasn't really something that they were that into. But I told him, I was like, yeah, I want to do it not only as a tribute to you guys, but also as like a vehicle to raise funds. And so, you know, they got back to me and they said, yeah, like, you know, like, and it wasn't even, I didn't even speak to the band directly. I spoke to like the person who manages Discord Records, right? And they said, yeah, like, you know, like we're okay with it. Like we have no problem with you doing it, especially if you're doing it as a charitable thing. Just we don't want to be tied to it, you know. Like just basically don't give any kind of indication that we like, you know, have any kind of tie to it. I was like, yeah, sure, that's no problem. Like I'll keep you guys completely separate from it. And so really, like there's no like indication of that at all. I mean, they gave me a thumbs up, but that's about it, right? And you know, with the Rancid one, it's so funny. Like I was at a birthday party in Oakland, and it was for a buddy of mine who happens to be friends with Matt Freeman and Matt Freeman's wife. And so they happened to be at the birthday party, and I just, you know, got to talking with them at one point, and I was talking, we were kind of in a circle, and Matt Freeman's wife saw, I have a tattoo on my lower right calf of the Sell the Heart logo, like this thing right here. Right? And she saw it and she's like, oh, are you? And I'm like, yeah, like I run, like, you put out the Rancid thing, right? And I was just like, yeah, I helped put it out. And she's like, that's so cool. And like, she like flags, like waves, you know, Matt over, and Matt. This is the guy that did the Rancid thing. And he's like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Like, yeah, I heard about you guys doing that. And because, you know, he lives in the East Bay, like still, you know, so, and I know that he's got a son who was doing volunteer work at Gilman for a good while. And so I don't think he has like direct ties with Gilman still, but, you know, he's still somewhat connected with the club just because of proximity and the fact that like his other band Charger played there, you know.
Oh, so good.
So, nice. Yeah, they're so rad.
Their Charger's great, dude. Yeah, but but yeah. So he's like, yeah, man, that's cool that you guys did that. Like, you know, there've been a few like, you know, cover albums that people have done over the years and everything. And he's like, what's up with the name though? I'm like, what? And out come the lawsuits. He's like, yeah, like we're not going to sue you or anything. I'm like, no, man. It's like that's kind of part of the joke. Is like, you know, we're doing this ripoff thing of you, and, you know. And he's like, well, I mean, he's like, you paid the publishing, right? I'm like, yeah, we paid the publishing, like, you know, of course. And he's like, oh yeah, cool, yeah, no worries then. Yeah, because like some people don't know this, like legally, it is perfectly fine for anyone to cover a song as long as you pay the publishing. As long as you pay the mechanical royalties and you've gotten that out of the way, no one can stop you from covering your intellectual property, right? So like I could release a record of Prince covers if I wanted to, as long as I paid his publisher the money and they received it and cashed the check, right? If they refuse to cash the check, that might be a different story, right?
Yeah.
Like I would probably be hard pressed to be able to legally get away with it, right? But if they accept the money and there's a receipt for it, there's no problem. Now, whether or not anyone's going to buy it is a completely different story, right?
For sure.
Right.
But like, you know, like I saw something on Instagram the other day. It was like one of those stories like just popped in my feed where apparently, you know, Elvis wanted to cover an old Dolly Parton song, and you know, she ended up like refusing to do it, right? But the reason why she refused was not because they didn't pay the publishing, but because the guy, like, you know, the Colonel, you know, which was Elvis's manager, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
The Colonel apparently wanted Dolly Parton to hand over a certain percentage of all the publishing for the song, right?
Oh.
The Colonel was an asshole.
Yeah, no, exactly. When in reality, the publishing goes to Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So she's not stupid, and she was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like,
yeah.
And here's the thing is, like, you know, years and years later, Whitney Houston covered the same song. It was I Will Always Love You, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Made a mint off of it, right? And so did Dolly Parton, because of the publishing. Whitney Houston made a shitload more than Dolly Parton did, though, right? Because the publishing, the mechanical royalties is only so much per song, right?
Oh, okay.
It's like pennies, you know, per song, right? Per like copy. Like the way it all breaks down is that like let's say you do a record and you produce 300 copies of it and you have one cover song on it, right? You're paying like it's like 10 cents per song per the number of copies, right? So it'd be 10 cents times 300, which is, you know, what, $30?
Yeah.
Right? So you pay the $30 and then you're good. Like, you've paid the royalty. Now, if you did like if you sold 1 million copies though, guess what? You've exponentially paid a lot more in publishing to that person. But you've also sold 1 million records, you know? So all the rest of that profit is yours. So Dolly Parton was not stupid. Like, she understood the value of having her publishing, like, and keeping it all herself.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? So.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was thinking of that song when then you started talking about it. I was like, okay, all right. Because I knew that I knew that about that. I was like, interesting.
Well, you know, it's like, that's not the only example, I'm sure. Like, there's probably a bunch of songs out there that have had very similar circumstances where, you know, people have probably tried to play hardball and say, yeah, like we're this big band and we're going to cover your song and make it a hit, but we want a bit of the publishing, you know, of it, because we're the ones who are going to turn it into a hit, you know. And, you know, like one that I bet you I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I can't say for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised is like, you know, Why Can't We Be Friends, or you know, like Smash Mouth, or like one of those bands, you know, or like, I mean, I don't know. I'm speculating here, but I don't know.
Yeah,
if that's true or not, you know,
the whole Faith cover by Limp Bizkit, and,
you know,
and George Michael. Yeah.
You know, like when you get these huge bands doing these cover songs, you know, there's probably a reason why they're picking specific songs, you know. And I mean, I don't know, like, it's possible that George Michael and Limp Bizkit were on the same label, and so like maybe the publishing, like,
okay,
you know, just kind of maybe that doubles everything for them. Yeah, I don't know how all that stuff works, but when you're dealing with like major labels like that, and like how like the kind of wackiness of the major label music industry, and how that how money works there, it's
for sure
how it all works.
Well, I want to ask you about a band that you know about, California Redemption.
Yeah, that's my old band.
Yeah. So is this if this is a defunct band now, or is it? Yeah.
Yeah. So that band was around from like 1998 until about 2001.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe 97. I think maybe they started in 97. Yeah, that band was comprised of friends of mine who I had grown up with, and we had been in bands together in high school. And when I was a little bit older than the rest of them, and so I graduated went high school, went to college, and then I joined a band when I was in college. Well, I was still in that band at the time, but I joined another band. And when they graduated the next year, they went to a different college. And at that point, the band we had in high school had broken up, and they went ahead and started this band, California Redemption. And they had another guy playing bass, this guy named John. Everyone called him Metal. And yeah, he was. I guess he liked metal, and so they called him Metal. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Hola,
he had
Metal.
He had long hair and liked metal, so they just called him Metal. Yeah. Yeah, so I was going to college at my college. They were doing their thing at their college, and we didn't end up playing any shows together, which was kind of unfortunate, really. But I think it was because by the time that they had kind of they'd gotten really off the ground, the band that I was in had basically like broken up, and I was about to finish college at that point anyway. So their bassist was graduating and couldn't continue on with the band because he was going to move away. And so they were like, "Hey, you're not in a band anymore. Would you want to join the band and maybe like commute for a while?" And I said, "Sure, that'd be great." And so I was doing that for a while, just commuting from where I was going to college to where they were in college. I was in the college in the Central Valley of California, this town called Turlock, which do not recommend. It's boring. Great for college in terms of like being a boring place, and you kind of focus on school, but not a very fun place to live. And they were up at Sonoma State in Roanoke Park, and I did that for about 6 or 7 months, and then I graduated, and then we went on tour like immediately that summer. Wow. Yeah, and so we went on like a 6-week tour and moved up there immediately, joined the band full time, and we were doing that band basically for another almost 2 years. Pretty much playing as much as we could. We only ended up releasing, with me and the band, we released one EP. Previously they had released a full length, and we were working on material for a new album, and we had enough material for a new album, but unfortunately the band just decided to call it a day.
Yeah,
before we could get there. Yeah.
Well, I jammed both of those albums on the interweb today, and I kind of dug it. Good stuff.
Nice.
What about your other project, Snipers?
Yeah.
Snipers. Yeah.
So yeah, that band was kind of an interesting situation. So I had been away from playing music for a few years after California Redemption broke up. I just kind of didn't want to do bands for a while because the Cal Red band breakup was, I wouldn't say it was traumatic, but it was like a bummer. It was like a big bummer the way it all kind of fell apart. But I just wanted to kind of be away from music for a while. I'd been doing it for like the last like 7 years, pretty much. That's all I sunk my time into. And I said, no, I'm just gonna work for a while and figure out other stuff and see what I want to do. So I took a break, kept playing like on my own, but about 2005, I kind of got the bug again, got the itch. And I had been playing some music with some other guys, and it wasn't really coming together. And ended up meeting this guy named Terrence, who was a drummer, and his band had just broken up. And like the reason why I knew that was because I was at the show that they had announced that this was going to be like their last show. And I thought he was a pretty cool drummer. I thought he was a really interesting drummer. And so I actually found him on MySpace, of all places.
Nice.
Yeah, like I kind of stalked
Thanks,
him out.
Tom. We miss you.
Tom. Yeah. And it turns out we had a couple of mutual friends, but I found him and I pinged him and I was like, hey man, like, I don't mean to come at you out of the blue. I know you don't know who I am, but I saw your last show. I thought you were a really cool drummer. If you're looking to start a new band, I'm hoping to get a new band going. And this is kind of the stuff that I like. And, I kind of want to go in this direction. And I don't know if you'd be into it or not, but I'd love to at very least just like maybe grab a beer and, talk about it. And he's like, yeah, sure, dude. Like, why not? So we met up, had a few beers and talked about it. And we were like, yeah, like, let's just get together and jam. And so from there, we started out going towards one direction for this band that we ended up calling Good City Lie Still, right? Which was kind of more like a like Minus the Bear meets like Circa Survive, kind of cursive, kind of sound, which was, all three of those bands were pretty popular at the time. So we were kind of into that kind of stuff. And, but we also really liked stuff like Pelican and Russian Circles and like God is an Astronaut and, Red Sparrows and, that whole like big anthemic kind of loud, quiet instrumental post-rock stuff. And so while we were putting Good City Lie Still together, which was going to ultimately be a band with like a vocalist and like all this stuff, we thought, why don't we do this other project at the same time, which was going to be more rooted in like that post-rock thing. So that was what became Snipers. And interestingly enough, Snipers ended up actually moving forward faster than Good City Lie Still did, which was the band that we kind of wanted to start in the first place. And so we ended up kind of putting a little bit more emphasis into that band, Snipers, for a while. And, eventually Good City Lie Still became a thing and became a full-fledged band too. So we were essentially doing both bands at the same time, but eventually Good City Lie Still became more of the focal point because Snipers, we felt, was not like able to do as much as Good City Lie Still was, because the whole post-rock thing still was a little bit less in vogue, if that makes sense. It was a little bit harder to get shows, I think, with that band. But yeah, and then Good City Lie Still went through. We did that for the better part of, gosh, I mean, I'm trying to think back. It was probably like 3.5 years, something like that. And then that broke up. And then Terrence and I just basically went right back to doing Snipers. And so Snipers didn't really ever officially break up, but we just kept brought it back from the dead, and we did that again for another probably like 3 years or so. Yeah. And I mean, like technically speaking, we never really had a last show or anything. Like we could, if we wanted to, spin the band up again and do shows if we wanted to. Because at its core, it was always just a two-piece. It was just Terrence on drums and me on guitar doing all this crazy like stuff with like reverb and delay and lots of layering and kind of craziness. But it inevitably became a 4-piece band. It was 2 guitars, bass, and drums. So it got like bigger and kind of more expansive. So I don't think that we would necessarily be able to pull it off, just the 2-piece again, but we've talked about it. We've talked about maybe just like doing a one-off, and seeing how it goes. But I don't know, we'll see.
if you never have a final show, you could still
never break up. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. The band that I was in for the longest time, we never technically broke up, and we never played a last show. So there's still hope. Possibly we do, do a final show, jump on the bandwagon.
You say there's a chance.
Yeah. We're getting the band back together, guys.
Yeah. The band never broke up, bro. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I can't practice on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and sometimes Saturday and Sunday. So
okay.
Let's see what days don't end in Y.
Yeah.
We don't need to practice. No. Yeah. Hey, if I had it my way, the band would be back together already. But yeah, everyone's in different places playing different kinds of music these days.
You're together in your heart.
Hey, if they only knew how much in my heart they were.
Yeah.
That band gets mentioned once a day.
In
your heart. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that sniper stuff though is, Eric, you gotta do yourself a favor and listen to Snipers.
Yeah, no, dude, I wrote it down. Yeah, because I was like, I can't remember what the last album was that I was listening to Banner Pilot on my way out of work today, like the last hour, just to like calm down and just get me ready for Fest too, because I'm so stoked to see those guys again. Yeah.
Fest is awesome.
Yeah. So, where did the name Sell the Heart? Where did that come from?
You know, it really just kind of blossomed out of a conversation that I had with one of the guys I initially was kind of working with on the label, this guy Thomas, and we were just kind of talking about like what it means to be in a band and like what it is to do this thing. And I think at one point I just mentioned the idea of like, like you're not just selling your music, you're selling your heart, you know?
Yeah.
Like that
100%.
About the idea of like, you know, kind of wearing your heart on your sleeve and the kind of like,
for sure. You know, for sure.
And you know, I think it's so funny. Like I think when people see the name, like they think it's got like some sort of emo, you know, kind of connotation to it. And that's not necessarily where it came from, but you know, it came from a place of sincerity, if anything, you know.
No, 100%, man. Yeah.
Cause you know, like I truly do believe that, you know, that's really what you're doing when you do this. I mean, like you're putting your heart and soul into creating something out of nothing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And so, you know, that's basically what you're doing here is you sell the heart, you know? So that's what I thought it stuck. I thought it rolled off the tongue really well and stuck. And then like you know, this guy, Chris, made this awesome logo.
Dude. Yeah. That's sick, man. Yeah. I like that a lot.
I saw the logo. I'm like, dude, this is perfect. It's like,
yeah, for like sure.
And I saw too, like, do you use that? Is that in the middle of your comps? That heart label? Do you put that in the middle?
You know, I've kind of wanted it to be, you know, but there's something about like the way that it's positioned where it just, it kind of doesn't work, you know, in some cases. So, like it should, you know, but like we've tried to do it and it just doesn't always work. We've done it on some, you know.
Yeah. I got you. Hey, I mean, I think, like I said, it's a cool logo. But I mean, I've been checking out everything you put on here. Like you said, the logo, if you look at it, you're like, it's like an emo label. But then you go there. I mean, you got everything on that label. So good stuff.
Yeah. Man, you put your heart into your music. So I mean, whether it be a love song or a, you know, hey, go fuck yourself song. I mean, it's all heart. It all took your heart. Yeah.
Say it
those songs chest, came from your heart, man.
There you go. Know? Say with your chest.
Yep.
I mean, maybe we should change. Maybe that'll be my little, you know, branch off, you know, record label. Say it with your chest records.
Yeah.
But it has to be like totally adult contemporary though. It can't be.
Yeah, it'll be like smooth jazz or something.
Yeah. It's gonna be like, say it with your chest, man. This must be like a hardcore label or something. And they put,
some like Seals and Crofts or like, you know, for Cross kind of stuff, you know.
Just like this whole yacht rock. Just
we're bringing it back, baby. Yacht rock's coming back.
Yeah.
Hell, hold on a second. I always ask this question. I get different answers. When and where did the fucking term yacht rock originate from?
I mean, I couldn't tell you, but I
it
have
makes
to
sense,
think.
But
I mean, I have to think that it has to do something with some rich assholes in the 80s.
Yeah. Actually, I was listening to the local kind of like classic rock station, 96.7 here in Buffalo, and I was listening to the Shred and Reagan show. They're not giving me any money to plug them, but they're fucking amazing. They're hilarious in the morning. They get me to work. But yeah, apparently there is a documentary on, I think it might be Hulu, about yacht rock.
Oh, okay.
And the whole term was spun off of a podcast like us. And yeah, they were just like discussing like like they just, somebody on this podcast coined the term yacht rock. And I mean, I'm all for it, man. I mean, I'm pushing 50. So, I mean, I can hear some Michael McDonald, and I'm just like, fuck yeah, dude. I dig the shit. Michael McDonald and fucking Kenny Loggins, Yeah, man.
Hasn't yacht rock, the term, though, been around longer than that, though?
I don't know. Yeah, I really have to watch this documentary. Yeah, that
right,
might
so
be.
Here, I mean, according to Wikipedia, this is what it says: is that commonly associated with soft rock, right? Oh no,
yeah, it is.
It says the term yacht rock was coined in 2005 by the makers of the online comedy series Yacht Rock, who conducted. That's wild. That's wild to me.
I know, right?
I would have
you would have thought,
that's so wild to me. Yeah.
Christopher Cross back in the day. Yeah, that's yacht rock, man. Yeah,
it's like
they
didn't.
What was it?
DJ didn't say it, but yeah, it's yacht rock, man. I don't know. I mean,
soft rock. Like soft rock.
Yeah. You got your dock shoes on and a Hawaiian shirt. You got the chest hair going, and
wow. I learned something new today. That's cool. I had no
idea. Eric, you described that so well. Do you have a poster of that in front of you?
What
the yacht rock description? Do you have a poster of one?
I know. No. But I got a fucking closet full of Hawaiian shirts. I mean.
Oh, I know you do. I know you do.
Yeah.
So before we get into the nitty gritty part that Eric has for you, how did you get the Tsunami Bob gig?
I have a good connection with a cocaine dealer. No.
Oh, fuck yeah, man.
No, we don't do cocaine. We don't do drugs. Drugs are bad, kids. Don't do drugs. No. So I've actually known the band since they've been a band.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I had gotten to know Dominic, the bassist, from a band that he had previously been in. That we had crossed paths over the time being in bands, and their first show ever was in Merced, California, which is just south of Turlock, and I was going to college at the time in Turlock, and I happened to be at the show, and so I caught their show and thought it was really cool. And then over the years, we played a bunch of shows together. California Redemption did a full Southern United States tour with Tsunami Bomb back in the day. Nice. Yeah.
Nice.
That was before I was in the band, but they toured with them. And so once I joined the band, we played a bunch of shows with them and became like kind of show pals, and became friendly with everyone in the band. Got to know Gabe and Oubliette and Emily, and Mike was in the band at that point, and Dom, and just been friends with them since day one, and have seen them through all their successes, and then they inevitably broke up, and stayed connected with Dominic in particular. And I once the record label started, actually even before the record label started, I was connected with Emily, the original singer. Well, not, she's not even technically the original singer, but she's the singer that most people know of because she was with them for a long period of time. Gotcha. She had started a screen printing company up in Sonoma County, and so a lot of bands would go to her to get merchandise screen printed, and so I was connected with her that way. And then I knew of her other band, the Action Design, so we kind of like would see her at shows. And then Gabe had been in the band Nothington, and I'd see them play, and I'd see him, and just basically we all stay connected.
Yeah.
Long story short. And then I found myself in the East Bay living with Dominic, the bass player. We had kind of reconnected after I moved down to the Berkeley area, and turns out he needed a place to live. And I said, hey, the place I live happens to have a room available. You could move in if you wanted to, I'm sure. So he ended up moving in. We became, good pals, roommates. We actually ended up even working together because he got hired on at the company that I was working at. He did graphic design, and I was doing software development. And the band got back together at that point. They had Brian, the original guitar player, in on guitar. And that, I was like, yeah, I'm stoked for you guys. That's awesome. And so they played in that formation for about a year. Brian left, and then they got Chris in for it was about a year. And then it basically came down to like logistically, it wasn't going to continue to work very well to have Chris in the band because he was in Texas. Juliet was all the way in New York, and then the rest of the band was in California. So it was just like too much going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Chris, and then Chris had other like things going on too that he was trying to like prioritize. So inevitably they're like, hey, like we should ask Andy. And so they asked me, and I was like, yes, I'm in. let's do it. Like, of course. So I've been in the band ever since. And like now I'm officially the longest tenured guitarist the band's ever had.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was your first show with them?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember. Wow, I want to say it was somewhere on. I think it was on the East Coast.
Wow.
I think it might have been an East Coast show. Yeah, it might have been Philadelphia at the Kung Fu Necktie.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
I think so. Like, I'll have to go back into the archive because.
When did you join the band?
It was 2017.
Okay, it says here on July 13th, 2017, the band began a short Northeast U.S. trip with 3 shows in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, the Kung Fu Necktie. Yeah.
Long Branch, New Jersey, and then Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll be right back.
Hold on.
Somebody's knocking at the door.
It says right here. Okay, and it says right here, in Philadelphia, the band debuted new guitar player Andy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So I guess that was the show.
Sharp as attack right here, guys. Sharp as attack.
Thanks, Wikipedia.
Yeah, thanks Wikipedia.
So
yeah, because we had been working together for a few months, like working on the songs, obviously, to kind of get me up to speed, and working on new material as well. That inevitably became the newest full length that we put out back in 2019. But it was a big ramp up to those shows. Mm-hmm.
Is that the last album that you guys have put out? Is the Spine and Binds?
It's the last full length album we put out.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when you guys have plans for touring anytime soon this year? Are you guys on a break?
We're not going to tour really, but we do have Fest. We're playing Fest. Yeah. So we're playing two sets at Fest.
Okay.
And there's a possibility of another show later in the year. We're waiting to find out if that's possibly going to come to fruition. We just don't know. But it's like we've submitted for it basically, and we're waiting to hear back. And then after that, it's kind of up in the air. Like as we've all gotten older,
for sure,
and everyone's lives are become more chaotic. It gets increasingly harder for us to get everyone on the same schedule. And on top of that, like just with communication breakdowns and everything like that, and it's nothing bad, it's just, it is what it is. And so we thankfully have the luxury of being able to be a bit choosy when it comes down to it.
Sure.
Like we don't have to go out and play shows,
yeah,
we'd like to, we would love to play more, but we don't feel like we have to. So we do it when we can. Yeah.
Yes, I mean when you get, I was about to say this, basically the same thing. Like you guys are at the point now where if they called you up to do a fest, you'd be like, all right, you do a fest gig here or there, and then take the couple months off and do a fest gig here or there or something.
Yeah, I mean, like that's really what we have to do because with everyone's different priorities, whether or not it be family or work, or planned vacations or whatever. we just don't have the ability, and none of us rely on this as a source of real income. Like, you know, for certain members of the band, like, you know, they get, you know, some money from like royalties from like old albums that are still selling and all that stuff. You know, like for the Spine That Binds, you know, like, you know, I don't really see any real money from it. You know, it's like, I get like a little bit here and there. It's like, you know, stuff to go to like dinner with, you know, every once in a while, you know, but, you know, for the other members of the band, like, you know, they still get, you know, quarterly, you know, residuals, and it again, like, I don't think it's a lot of money, but it's something, you know, and, you know, there is a willingness to keep the band going, partially because of that, because, you know, the more we do, the more people stay connected with the band. So, but that's not like a driving force for any of us. Like, you know, there's no like really major emphasis for us to go out there and, you know, tour for like months out of the year just so we can make a little extra scratch. You know, that's just not what we're doing.
For sure.
Yeah, I heard something similar to that. Like the band's Chicks Dig It, they do the same thing now. They they very rarely do any dates unless somebody wants to, you know, bring them out for like a fest or something. You know, just because they're at the time of their life now. You know, it's just like everyone's older. And it's harder now when you know, got to pay the house mortgage and all that shit. You know.
Yeah, like anyone who, like, it's funny, like you can either say that they're a nostalgia act or that they're a legacy act, right?
Yeah.
And like the word legacy act has such a more like positive connotation to it, right? But because nostalgia almost seems like that's like, oh, they're playing the fair circuit, you know? So
yeah.
I'm gonna go see Everclear down at the Buffalo County Fair.
I will say Everclear, Sponge, and there's
my language.
One other band. It's Everclear, Sponge, and
Our Lady Peace.
Is it Our Lady Peace? Like, they're all playing together.
No, yeah, it was Collective Soul, Our Lady Peace, and maybe it was Sponge. Yeah. I think they're on a touring circuit right now.
Yeah, they're all playing right now, and I kind of want to go.
Sponge is one of those bands I've never got to see. They are fucking.
Where you can't see it, there it is. Yeah,
I see you have it. Yeah. No, I'm crying over here.
Yeah, I
know what that is, dude. I told him that's like. That could be my deserted island record, and I'll be happy because I like that album that much.
Dude, that song "Plowed" had me hook, line, and sinker as a kid. I love that song.
Hey, and also to me, I think it's a perfect record, start to finish. It just flows really well.
Yeah, it's a good record.
So let me ask you this: since you are a Sponge connoisseur, did you hear the 1994 album they did, the cover album?
They did an album of covers.
It came out last year. It's called 1994, and it's all covers from songs from 1994. And some of the stuff that they do will blow your mind. Some amazing covers. Like, I was like, because, you know, his voice is so fucking great. I was like, I don't think he can mess anything up. Nope, he didn't. He did a great job. And I know I've never got the opportunity to see him, and I'm always mad. But now they're playing again. So I'm hoping maybe I can see them in Nashville.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the singer now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we need. Just like whatever. I'm glad Everclear's back together, but there was a while where Art was just touring by himself, and it was just as good because he could sing his ass off too.
Yeah, and that Shot Clock cover of Molly 16 Candles that was such a great cover. I was listening to Shot Clock today. Yeah, I was listening to him at work, and I guess like whatever album I was listening to on Spotify, it just started playing like random songs, you know, and then it went back to Shot Clock, and it was that cover, and I was like, holy shit, I gotta send this to Russ, man. He's gonna freak out.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But no, so they do, which is really weird for me to see that name on there, but they do Mazzy Star, Fade Into You,
Huh.
but it was done so well. So well. They do Interstate Love Song. They do Bulls in the Heather by Sonic Youth, which did that really good. That was a good. They did a good cover of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I
love
said,
that song. Yeah.
check out that that album. I bought that when it came out because I was like, well, I don't have Rod and Pinata on vinyl. I got it on everything else, and I'm not dropping a couple $100 on a copy right now.
Right.
So I bought 1994 and was not disappointed. So
Nice.
do yourself a favor and check it out.
I will.
Wherever you stream your music.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Eric, what time is it?
Wait. Before no wrong answers. Real fast. So like for like let's say bands that are on Sell Your Heart or Sell the Heart, do you work with certain European labels that so like let's say Neck Scars were to go overseas and tour instead of the band bringing, records from the States overseas to sell, all they had to worry about was like sneaking in some t-shirts and making sure they had their instruments and everything like that. And then once they got over to, like let's say Germany or the UK, there would be a label over there that had the European pressing of like the Neck Scars record.
I mean, in effect, yeah, that's part of the reason why, we try to work with labels in other countries because, yeah, I mean, it's not always easy to bring merch with you when you travel to another country because they're going to want to take tax for it. Right?
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it kind of depends on like, I mean, I've heard it can matter of like the day and which agent you get, like which border.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, do you run the risk or whatever? And I mean, like, the taxes can be pretty high, but, we've had a few bands that have benefited from having the records available in other countries. So it does help every now and then. Yeah.
You're right on.
That's not like the only reason why we do it. It's really just for exposure.
Gotcha.
If anything.
Yeah. It's just, I'm speaking from previous experience. I was in a band called Blacklist Royals and we had our first record on Paper and Plastic over here in the States. And then when we toured Germany and the UK, we worked with Gunner Records who had the record pressed over there. So all we had to do when we toured is just bring our instruments and sneak. Like, I think each member of the band, we're a 4-piece. So like each of us had, like 10 or 15 shirts that we packed in our suitcase.
Yeah. Cause it's just luggage. It's just,
for luggage to sell. We didn't have to worry about bringing records overseas, with us. So yeah.
I mean, it's helpful if you can find labels that will do that and cover. I mean, that's a significant cost that you like. It's cool that Gunner would do that. I've worked with
for sure.
Before. Yeah.
I got one more question before you go over into your segment. What's Tsunami Bomb? What's been so far your favorite show that you've played with them?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, there've been a lot of really cool ones.
Have you played with anybody that you can say, that's a bucket list I've done?
I mean, at festivals, sure.
Yeah.
Like technically, I got to play with Jawbreaker. Twice.
That's pretty right. That's pretty right.
Nice.
We did Warped Tour. We did Fest with them. But it's kind of like a gimme because like we're just on the festival with them.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't really been paired up with a ton of bands that are like bucket list bands when we go out and play like regular shows. So like not really, like at the festivals though, for sure. But I mean, getting to play in Europe and tour Europe in and of itself was like a huge bucket list thing for me. And playing at the Manchester Punk Festival was amazing. Like we played a big stage, packed room. The energy was crazy. You know, it was awesome. It was really, really cool. We played great. Sound was great. Audience was great. It was just a really, really good show. Yeah. And what was great about that show too is, I mean, cause you guys know, it's like you go on tour, like those first couple of shows are like warm-up shows when it all kind of boils down to it. And then you kind of get in your groove and then you're locked in. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And we were locked in at that point. Like we were like, you know, like you're starting to use like muscle memory as opposed to like focusing on what you're doing. And, you know, if we could do that all the time, like we'd surely love to do that. But most of the time, like we don't get locked in until like the last show. So, but yeah, like, I mean, we've gotten to play with a bunch of really cool bands and by doing that, become friends with them. Like, you know, like we've become like really good friends with like Hans Gruber and the Die Hards, Fat Heaven. Have like we met them playing shows with them, and like I inevitably actually released a record from them.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so you know things like that happen, which are great. Here in the States, I would say that the first show we played in New York was really cool. We played at this place called the Cape House, which I don't even know if it still exists or not, but it was like this underground spot that was in Brooklyn, and it was the band's first time playing New York since they had been back together. And yeah, it's a packed place. Crowd was great, you know, super fun show. And we played in Denver at this thing called the Tentacle Fest, which was us, Culture Shock, Dead Pioneers, and Wheelchair Sports Camp. And I mean, it was at this big outdoor amphitheater. Like, nice. I mean, we're talking a big amphitheater.
Yeah.
And we saw it. We're like, oh God, like how many people are coming to this? Like, you know, like what, like a couple hundred? Like it's going to look tiny, you know, but it was a free show, you know, that was put on. It was put on by like a city, like organized, like funded thing. Right. So, place was pretty packed actually. Like, and so that was pretty cool. I mean, getting to play the Shoreline Amphitheater in Mountain View for Warped Tour, that was pretty cool. And because we were on like the amphitheater stage, which was, I mean, I've seen huge bands play that place. You know,
nice. Yeah,
yeah. And so that was kind of cool. But I will say, you know, playing like Bottom of the Hill in San Francisco is like always my favorite because that place is just so great. The staff are great. The sound's always great. Like the last few times we played there, it sold out, you know? So it's just, that place is just, it's so nice because it's like our home turf, you know? And we know it's going to be a good show whenever we play there. So
nice.
Like, yeah. So it's hard to pick just one, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What was it? I saw Lollapalooza '94 at the Shoreline. And now, you know, Green Day obviously opened that up. And I read somewhere recently that originally Nirvana was supposed to headline that Lollapalooza, and with them dropping off, they moved everybody up, and Green Day was able to get onto that Lollapalooza.
That's true. Yeah. That's what I heard too.
That's insane.
Yeah, Smashing Pumpkins became the headliner, and everyone got bumped up, and then they brought in Green Day. I heard that Perry Farrell didn't want them initially.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then you know that they were already, you know, on their way, but that just skyrocketed them even more, jumping on that Lollapalooza.
Well, I think the numbers just proved to be too much for Perry Farrell to battle with.
Yeah.
Like the people, like his partners, were just like, dude, no, you need Green Day. Like they're blowing up. You know, so,
yeah.
You know, like Perry Farrell's Perry Farrell, you know, so I mean,
100%, dude. Yeah. I can't remember what the name of the VHS was that Jane's Addiction put out. But yeah, he's talking about like a green tea malt, and just going on about this, like, this milkshake or whatever. And then there's another scene where him and his girl are in the bedroom. They shoot off a freaking bottle rocket in a chicken. Yeah. So Perry's always been out there. I was listening to Porno for Pyros yesterday. That first album, still, wow, it's so good.
Oh, great.
I love that record so much. It's like stupid how good that record is.
God, yeah.
Let me ask you guys this question. One Hot Minute with Dave Navarro, the Chili Peppers record.
I love that record.
Yeah, I love that record. Maybe I need to go back to it, but I absolutely hate it.
I think it was a popular record, but it wasn't as popular good. I think it was still underrated. But I think Dave did a great job on that record, man. He sounded good.
In my like I mean, I still am a Chili Peppers fan. Like, people can give me shit all they want, like whatever. I don't really care. But like back in high school, like I was absolutely like a big Red Hot Chili Peppers fan, and that album I thought was fantastic. I mean, I loved Jane's Addiction. I loved Porno for Pyros, and I was all into like Primus and like all that kind of stuff. So I was in with like that funk rock kind of stuff. And this is my cat, by the way. This is Ruthie. Yeah.
What up, Ruthie?
What up?
Yeah. But
first cat on the show.
I thought it was really quite good. And I mean, they've always had great guitarists in that band. I mean, and Dave Navarro, like you can point out all of the things about Dave Navarro that make him Dave Navarro, whether or not they're good or bad, but like he is an amazing guitar player. Like there is no question that he's an extremely talented guitar player. He's very creative at what like his lines are and everything like that. Yeah. And I thought he brought a kind of an interesting spin to the Chili Peppers, and like it was dark and it was kind of brooding and a little bit spacier. And I mean, honestly, I think it kind of upped the ante a little bit for them because Flea's great and Chad Smith is great and Anthony Kiedis, I mean, whatever, but musically, like the three of them were very locked in, and they were
all right.
Musically, that album is dope.
You guys sold me. I'm gonna listen to it tomorrow at work. I mean, I was listening to I was listening to Kiss's Revenge. I don't know why, but I was just like, I feel like listening to Kiss today. So I'm a huge Kiss fan.
It's a good record.
I was listening to it, and I mean, it starts out great with Unholy, and then Paul's songs start playing, and I'm just like, hold on, because Domino's coming up. And I think after Domino, that's when I cut that, and I think that's when I started listening to Banner Pilot.
There you go.
But yeah. Are we ready for no wrong answers?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. First question, and this is, I'm going off of music that I've been listening to the last couple of days. Paul Westerberg or Evan Dando?
Paul Westerberg for sure.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
120 minutes or Headbangers Ball?
120 minutes.
Okay. Nice.
All right. Who is your 120 minutes Alternative Nation?
Still 120 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. Who was your favorite 120 VJ?
Well, so this is with the caveat that I actually didn't have MTV.
Okay.
I didn't have access to it. So I moved from the Bay Area to the Sierra Nevada foothills when I was in like third grade. And so when we moved from the Bay Area up to the hills, we lost access to MTV. So I didn't have access to MTV all the way through high school. I would see it like my friends would like videotape it, and like sometimes I'd get to see it like reruns and stuff. But I don't really remember a lot of the VJs. I mean, are you talking about like guest VJs or just like the VJs that did it more?
The staple VJs that they had.
I mean, I guess I'd have to go with like Matt Pinfield, just because he's the only one that I really know.
No, I mean, Matt Pinfield's God. So no.
I mean, he's great.
No wrong answer.
I met Matt Pinfield in San Francisco once. Really nice guy. Yeah, I was at lunch, and I was walking. So I used to work in like the downtown area. Financial district area, and I was walking over towards there's a Safeway over there, and he happened to be walking back to where he was living, because he was a DJ stationed at a radio station in San Francisco.
Oh,
and I saw him. I'm like, holy shit, you're Matt Pinfield. He's like, yes, I am. I'm like, dude, love you. You're like, you're the best. And he was very nice. He was very generous with his time. You know, he wasn't like put off by it at all. You know,
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah.
I was like, do you mind if I walk with you real quick and just like talk? He's like, yeah, man, no problem. And we just talked for a couple of minutes.
Sounds less psycho.
Took a photo, and that was it. And I was like, hey, man, so nice to meet you. I hope you have a good day. He's like, cool.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
If I could go bowling with Matt Pinfield and Eddie Trunk, I would. I would be a happy
that'd
man.
be great.
Yeah. All right.
That metal show.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that was such a good fucking show.
That was a good show. I like that show.
139 or Kerplunk?
Ooh. Kerplunk.
God, why am I the only one that likes 139 more?
I like Kerplunk. I got it. I got a huge poster in my hallway.
Nah, yeah. All right, we're gonna go, take it back to the 90s.
Right.
Melrose Place or 90210?
Oh God. I mean, I really didn't watch either one. I mean, I've seen episodes of each one, and I know the premise of them both. I mean, like,
I watch it.
I don't know. I would say Melrose Place was probably a little more my speed. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
It seemed a little bit more like less bullshitty, you know. So I mean, they're both ridiculous, but you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah. I think I mean, like growing up watching the Brady Bunch, I think like when I was, you know, watched an episode in like my mid 40s, and I was like, what the fuck was I watching every day? This is horrible. So I'm pretty sure I would do the same thing with 90210 now, although Russ would yell at me for it.
I watch it at least once a year.
Very cringy.
And this isn't like a no wrong answer at all, but what's the last album that you've listened to front to back?
The new Deftones record.
Oh, so good, isn't it?
It's so good. Yeah. I mean, I am unabashedly a giant fan of the Deftones.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm very biased, but it's very good. Like,
I'm definitely
very good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm late to the party with Deftones because I don't know, that like during their heyday, I was just all against and like threw up arms to the whole new metal scene. So it's unfortunate that I thought that way and I deprived myself of being a Deftones fan. But like here in the last, I would say probably year and a half, I've become the biggest freaking Deftones fan. So yeah,
they're pretty incredible. Yeah.
I have not listened to the new album yet. I would be listening to it this weekend. It finally arrived in the mail after traveling all over the United States, but I finally got it, and I will listen to it this weekend. And
to me, it feels like a nice mix of Koi no Yokan and White Pony.
Okay. Ooh. Yeah, I said that. I said some of the the opening track, which was the first single, to me that reminded me of like White Pony-ish stuff. So yeah. All right, go ahead, Eric.
Yeah. I mean, just listening to it and like going back and like their catalog, the newest Cure record that came out, I guess it was like last year, that it was the same feeling of just, this is a fucking band that I love and they're still making such great music. Dude, start to finish.
The Cure, I think, will go down as one of the greatest like bands in history.
Dude.
Like,
honestly,
yeah.
So Cure or the Smiths?
Oh, the Cure, 100%.
Nice. Question. Good answer. Good answer.
And I do like the Smiths. Morrissey's a piece of shit, but
he's a huge D-bag. Yeah. Never got to see the Smiths. Got to see Maz. But it just once is enough. And
they had the rumors about, the Smiths are going to reunite, but they're not going to have Morrissey on vocal. They weren't going to have Morrissey on vocals. I forgot who they said is supposed to be on vocals. And I'm just like, if you're not, first off, if you're not going to do it with Morrissey, don't do it at all.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
if you were going to do it, Morrissey
Yeah.
probably wouldn't do it anyway. He probably wouldn't show.
Nah, that's a band that will never in a million years get back together.
Yeah, yeah. I think Johnny Marr is getting ready to come to Buffalo, and I think the wife and I are gonna go check him out.
Oh,
but
nice.
yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Well,
So yeah,
he's been playing with who is it that he started playing with? It wasn't Pulp. It was some other band.
Yeah.
My cat's biting my leg.
Oh shit! It's time to eat, man.
she's hungry. She's hungry.
Yeah. Cool. Man. You got anything else there, Russ?
No, just if you want, real quick. What's the next couple of releases you guys have coming out on the label?
Let's see. The next one comes out. Actually, the pre-order starts officially tomorrow. It's the new Jukebox Romantics record. So that's launching tomorrow. And then, sorry, my cat's being unwily.
You're good.
I need to contain her a little bit. After that, we have the 7-band split, which is on pre-order currently, and it comes out in October. And then the new Jukebox Romantic comes out in October as well. And then we haven't announced it yet, but there's going to be a new record from the band Hantu. And we also have 2 others that are planned for the rest of the year, which I don't really want to give up the rest of the ghost on those too much, but
for sure.
We have 2 more that'll be announced. Yeah. Between now and then.
And then next week, Hantu has a new single or video coming out. Is that correct?
Next week, I believe it's next week. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, I don't have anything else.
Yeah. Tend to the kidders, man. Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, she's getting ornery.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us tonight. And let's keep in touch. And I'll definitely see you in Gainesville.
Sweet.
Fest weekend.
Please find me. I mean, come find me. I'll be, obviously watching all the Sell the Heart bands, and then we have the 2 sets for Tsunami Bomb. And then I'm doing that Seaweed cover set, like I mentioned, that happens on Sunday. And I won't have a flea market table this year, unfortunately, but I'm trying to put together a little, special thing that I can hand out to people. I'm already offering some free, basically a special for people that are attending Fest that only people who attend Fest know about. But
okay.
Yeah, besides that, I would welcome people to go check out our Patreon, our Bandcamp subscription. Those are 2 great ways to support the label. They're very flexible. You get a lot of great music for signing up for either one. And like I said, they're flexible for all different types of price points for people. Really encourage you to consider buying any of the records from these bands. They're all great. They're all working their butts off on putting out really good records. And I'm always doing tons of good specials. I just really want people to get their hands on these records and support these bands.
Yeah, for sure. Buy the record. Don't just stream it.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, Andy. Well, we appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, dude. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for spending the evening with us.
Yeah.
You got it.
Later.
Take care.
Later.